So hello guys, I welcome you all to my channel and आज बात करेंगे NCERT क्लास 7th की Honeycomb book की chapter 5 quality. I knew him from the day of my extreme youth because he made my father's boots. He lived with his elder brother in his shop, which was in a small by street in a fashionable part of London. The shop had a certain quiet distinction. There was no sign upon it other than the name of Jesler Brothers, and in the window a few pairs of boots. He made only what was ordered, and what he made never failed to hit. To make boots, such boots are as he made, seemed to me then, and still seems to me, mysterious and wonderful. I remember well my shy remarks one day while stretching out to him my youthful foot. Isn't it awfully hard to do, Mr. Chesler? And his answer, given with a sudden smile from out of the redness of his beard. It was not possible to go to him very often. His boots lasted terribly, having something। तो देखिए क्या मतलब होता है जो इड इस एन आर्टिट का विद जर्मन एसेंट है। लास्टेड टेरेबली मतलब लास्टेड वेरी लॉन्ग। Beyond the temporary, some essence of boot stitched into them. One went in, not as into most shops, but restfully, as one enters a church and sitting on the single wooden chair, waited a guttural sound. Guttural मतलब harsh and grating. Guttural का मतलब होता है कंठ से उच्चारण किया हुआ साउंड। Guttural कंठ से उच्चारण किया हुआ। And the tip tap of his slippers beating the narrow wooden stairs, and he would stand before one without coat, a little bent in leather apron, with sleeves turned back, blinking as if awakened from some dream of boots. And I would say, "How do you do, Mr. Jessler? Could you make me a pair of Russian leather boots?" Without a word, he would leave me retiring whence he came or into the other portion of the। whence का क्या मतलब है? whence का मतलब है जहाँ से वो आया था। whence he came, जिस स्थान से वो आया, or into the other portion of the shop, and I would continue to rest in the wooden chair, inhaling the incense of his trade. Soon he would come back, holding in his hand a piece of gold brown leather. With eyes fixed on it, he would remark, "What a beautiful piece." When I too had admired it, he would speak again, "When do you mend them?" And I would answer, "Oh, as soon as you conveniently can." Conveniently मतलब सुविधाजनक तरीके से। And he would say, "Tomorrow fortnight." Or if he were his elder brother, "I will ask my bruder." Then I would murmur, "Thank you, good morning, Mr. Jesler, good morning." He would reply, still looking at the leather in his hand, and as I moved to the door, I would hear the tip tap of his slippers going up the stairs to his dream of boots. I cannot forget that day on which I had occasions to say to him, "Mr. Jesler, that last pair of boots, correct." correct का मतलब क्या होता है? किरकिराना चरमराना ये होता है जी करेक्ट का मतलब। you know He looked at me for a time without reply, as if expecting me to withdraw or qualify the statement, then said, I shouldn't air great. I did, I'm afraid. You got damn right before they found themselves. I don't think so. At that, he lowered his eyes, as if hunting for memory of those words, and I felt sorry. I had mentioned this great thing. Send them back. He said, I will look at them. Zoom boots, he continued slowly, are bad from birth. If I can do nothing with them, I take them off your bill. Once only, I went absent-mindedly into his shop in a pair of boots bought in an emergency at some large firm. He took my order without showing me any leather, and I could feel his eyes penetrating the inferior covering of my foot. At last he said, those are not my boots. The tone was not one of anger, nor of sorrow, not even of contempt, but there was in it something white that froze the blood. He put his hand down and pressed a finger on the place where the left foot was not quite comfortable. He said, those big words are no self-respect. And then, as if something had given way within him, he spoke long and bitterly. Bitterly मतलब कड़वा. It was the only time I ever heard him discuss the conditions and hardships of his trade. They get it all, he said. They get it by advertisement, not by work. They take it away from us who our foods, our bones to this. Presently, I have no work. Every year it gets less, you will see. And looking at his lined face, I saw things I had never noticed before. Bitter things and bitter struggle. And what a lot of grey hairs there seemed suddenly in his red beard. At best I explained the circumstances of those ill-omened boots. But his face and voice made so deep an impression that during the next few minutes I ordered many pairs. They lasted longer than ever, and I was not able to go to him for nearly 2 years. It was many months before my next visit to his shop. This time it appeared to be his elder brother, handling a piece of leather. Well, Mr. Jesler, I said, how are you? He came close and peered at me. I am pretty well, he said slowly, but my elder brother is dead. And I saw that it was indeed himself, but how aged and wan, and never before had I heard him mention his brother. Much shocked, I murmured, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, he answered. He was a good man. He made a good food, but he is dead. And he touched the top of his head, where the hair had suddenly gone as thin as it had been on that of his poor brother, to indicate, I suppose, the cause of his death. Do you want any book boots? And he held up the leather in his hand. It's a beautiful piece. I ordered several pairs. It was very long before they came, but then were were better than ever. One simply could not wear them out, and soon after that I went abroad. It was over a year before I was again in London, and the first shop I went to was my old friend's. I had left a man of 60. I came back to one of 75, pinched and worn, who genuinely this time did not at first know me. Do you want any boots? He said. I can make them quickly. It is a black dye. I answered, please, please, I want boots all around, every kind. I had given those boots up when one evening they came. One by one I tried them on, in shape and fit. In finish and quality of leather they were the best he had ever made. I flew downstairs, wrote a check and posted it at once with my own hand. A week later, passing the little street, I thought I would go in and tell him how splendidly मतलब शानदार तरीके से the new boots fitted. But when I came to where his shop had been, his name was gone. I went in very much disturbed. In the shop there was a young man with an English face. Mr. Chesler in? I said. No, sir. He said no. But we can attend to anything with pleasure. We have taken the shop over. Yes, yes, I said. But Mr. Chesler? Oh, he answered dead. Dead. But I only received these boots from him last Wednesday. Oh, he said, poor old man, starved himself. Starve का मतलब होता है मतलब कि भूखा रहना. Slow starvation, the doctor called it. You see, he went to work in such a way, would keep the shop on, wouldn't have a soul touch his boots except himself when he got an order. It took him such a time. People won't wait. He lost everybody. And there he had sit going on and on. I will say that for him. Not a man in London made a better book. But look at the competition. He never advertised. Would have the best leather too. And do it all himself. Well, it is. What could you expect with this his idea? But starvation. That may be a bit flory. Flory का मतलब that may be a bit flory मतलब लच्छेदार as the saying is, but I know myself he was sitting over his boots day and night. To the very last, you see, I used to watch him. Never gave himself time to eat. Never had a penny in the house, and went in rent and liquor. How he lived so long, I don't know. He regularly let his fire go out. He was a character, but he made good boots. Yes, I said he made good boots. This is the end of the story. We'll meet tomorrow with another story. Till then, bye bye.